Hi, we are DataGen, a tool to help you build very unique go-to-market signal in just English. And today we want to showcase how we use our own tool to create highly unique linking signal that can help us find people who may be interested in this. So first we try to define what we want is people who may be interested in bespoke linking intelligence because I think that's what we'll be very strong about. But this is kind of the vague signal that's not very actionable. So we want to further dissect or create a hypothesis, a profile who may be interested in the bespoke linking signal. And this hypothesis we had is, okay, people who engage in linking thought leadership about AI, especially focusing on the signal-based go-to-market, could be people who've been very interested in leveraging AI. And also, we want to find out people who've been actively posted on LinkedIn. So that could be a very good sign of showing he's using LinkedIn as kind of personal branding. So we want to try to be able to create who actually fit in both of the criteria, and this could be at least the first group of people that might be worth for us to approach in. So how do we find out who actually be fit into this? We further try to break it down to a step-by-step workflow to help us to create this list of people. So first, we need to find out those linking thought leaders. We actually manually try to create this list of linking thought leader because we want to, I think having this kind of high quality and good understanding of who is that linking thought leader is very important for us. So we actually manually come in to handpick who we believe is actually very aligned to what we are doing, and people who engage in that might be interested in what we are doing too. And so once we find out who this LinkedIn thought leader is, we want to find out what his actually recent post. So we don't want to find people who engaging with this one like a month ago. We want to just say, okay, because most of the time this LinkedIn thought leader are quite active on LinkedIn, so we set up the time of just last week's. And secondly, we want to find who being engaged with them. So we set up another criteria, say, we want to, for each post, we want to find who's been commenting on them and who has been engaged with this post. And the reason we want to find people who's been commented on is because that shows not just a simple engagement, they also try to use LinkedIn to express their opinion and to have deep engagement with this thought leader. Once we be able to find out this commenter, who are those commenters being commented on that, we want to kind of sort them. So we want to find out who are commenting not just on one post, but multiple posts. And that could be a very important signal for us to say, okay, this guy has been actively engaging with this LinkedIn thought leader. And once we be able to identify this kind of highly engaged people who we actually, by definition, is just commenting on multiple posts, we want to find out, okay, are they just kind of interested in like this topic alone, or he's actually using LinkedIn as kind of personal branding, and that can be signaled by how many posts actually being posted. We believe the more posts that have been posted from since last week, the more likely they've been really interesting in his own LinkedIn diligence and trying to understand how he can actually performing better on LinkedIn, try to understand who being his kind of a top engager as well. And that would be kind of the final criteria of this people who we may be interested in contacting. And as you can see, like there's no any kind of existing off-the-shelf data can provide this type of signal. And traditionally, you need to either use code to write this type of signal to work with or orchestrate multiple API to be able to create that, or you can use some of the more modern no-code tool like Clay, which is very popular nowadays. But even with Clay, for those who've been kind of playing with that, knowing like it's actually not quite easy to create in Clay. First, it has a dynamic variable, like a dynamic filter is like last week. And then you need to have another table to create all the commenters that have been posted on this comment. And then you want to group by and sum like how many posts that actually be interacted on. And after that, you also have another table to create what are the posts this commenter has been created, and then try to group by how many posts that have been posted to be able to finally get this kind of a signal that you want. And so easily like 3 or 4 tables you will need to be created. And today we want to show an alternative way, which is using our platform to easily create this type of signal in just a few lines of English. We'll show you what we mean by that. So once you log in into DataGen, the first thing you can see is all the flow that you've been created. You can also browse the template and start to create the flow that we just described. Before actually creating the flow, I want to introduce the tool. So you can think of the tool as like Wrap Data API or some type of pre-made function. Basically, it's kind of the building block for all type of different data. Here we've been provided like get linking person data, get linking person post, post reaction, post comment, post repost. So they basically are just kind of the data API wrapper. And later on, we'll show how we can actually use DataGen to easily orchestrate across all these different tools. And then we are actively expanding the available tool for our user to work with more and more signals. Okay, now we go back to the create flow, and we just hit new flow, and we can start to make flow. So first thing, you just need to give the flow a name, and here I would just say linking prospect actively engage in AI GTN. And this is kind of be my name doing it, and you hit enter, we'll be able to initialize and start this flow. So the first thing you can see is actually we allow you to create this workflow step by step using just English. So instead of like most of the no-code tool that are pre-made function, we allow you to actually create your own function using just the natural language and the tool that we provided. So here, like we showed first, we want to find out all the posts from the linking thought leader. So what we do is find linking recent posts found last 7 days using get linking person posts and save them to recent posts. So I think the first thing we notice 3 things. First is this: whenever we add the at in front of the a string, you actually create a variable. So they allow you to not just create a static flow. It's actually this flow can accept a different kind of input in the future. For example, today I want to look at Jordan Crawford. I want to look at Eric. And then later on, you can just put it into this variable for different people. And then the second thing is once you hit this slash, you'll be able to access all the tool. And today, because I kind of know the tool itself, I would also recommend people who use our tool to kind of get familiar with whatever available tools here. So what this tool will do is actually you just find, given this linking person, you will actually find all the posts you have. And finally is we actually can, in DataGen, you can define the output variable. So once you define the output variable, the data will be saved here, and later on you can access that. Okay, so now we have this first step. We just need to submit that. And today, in terms of this linking thought leader, we actually want to use Jordan Crawford. I think I'm kind of big fan of him, and I think he's pretty actively in personal opinion about AI. Whether you like it or not, I think he'd definitely be considered as a leading thought leader. So we'll just use him as an example, and then we'll just copy his LinkedIn and then put it here. So we know, okay, this is LinkedIn, and we start to hit build. So once you hit build, as you can see, our DataGen actually will initiate a CodeGen agent to, based on this information, to achieve the task you want to achieve. First, you will try to load the data that's necessary, like here with the LinkedIn with Jordan Crawford, and start to build the agent. And then he will start to, okay, look at the agent output, like say what you were trying to do to be able to achieve this. And then you can see, okay, he will first try to pull the data, and then you try to say, okay, I need to work on this 7 days. But see, it actually got into some kind of error, some kind of validation error. But it's okay, because actually our agent will continue to try different type of way to approach this. And let's see if we can be able to successfully achieve this task. Oh, okay. So it actually successfully pulled the data. Like you kind of be able to figure things out and just pull the data. Let's quickly see. So he actually created this recent post variable. It has this kind of post inside, and each post. So we see actually he had 7 different posts for the past 7 days. Let's quickly examine that. Let's see. Okay, you have all the, okay, so the activity day is like a 422 and today is 29. So yeah, indeed, it's trying to look up to like 7 days ago. And then other than this, so first you'll be able to kind of see the data output. So once the data is not what you like, for example, you don't think this is like clean enough, you can actually try to re-describe it again. And then if you see anything kind of wrong, you'll be able to kind of just use this to be able to feedback to your model and then try to explain that. So, oh, this is not what I want, but this is actually what I want. I tend to try to have as extensive data content as possible for my next step. And another thing is you can also access the code itself. So our default code is Python. So if you're familiar with Python, you can actually try to read through how it actually be done. So you can know if it actually is doing what it's supposed to do. And then actually our agent will actually try to describe step by step here. So even you don't read code, you'll be able to understand at least what it's trying to do. This will be just the first step 1, but you can see we just kind of type in this. You don't need to worry about how this dynamic thing is being handled. It's actually quite annoying to always handle this kind of daytime. And here he is using like now UTC to kind of define what the current day look like, and then be able to kind of search that. So you don't need to like handle like all this kind of greedy nitty thing. The model will try to do it yourself, and then all you need to do is just try to audit whether the data is what you are looking for. Okay, now we have the first step. We just need to start to create the second step. So now we have the post. We want to find out who actually been commented on that. So we can say for each post in recent post. So now, as you can see, the output of the previous recent post now can be accessed by the second step. So you can just simply reference that and tell them, oh, this will be each post in recent post. They're using its activity ID and find who has commented on it using another tool. We can say get linking things called personal post comments. Yeah, that will give you the comment. And calculate how many posts they have commented on, and finally save their first name So you can define how the data structure you would like. Last name, I want linking URL, and finally the number of post comment on to the new output pro commenters, and just hit submit again. And because we are not introducing any kind of new input variable, we only reference only this kind of a previous steps input variable, so we don't have to have any new thing to put in, and so we can start to build again. So okay, the model start to log. First try to describe the data, and then you will try to log whatever the data that is required to run step 2. Okay, now the model is trying to explain what you're trying to do. Okay, so you actually finish it. And then here's his linking, and here's the number of posts has been actually commented on 2, and someone has commented 5. Oh, yeah, of course, he's probably people are 1. Yeah, so this will be the list of people who've been commented. And then the next will be finding who actually been commented like more than, you can say, a number of time. And like we say, also are actively on linking. So let's try to do that step now. So let's see. We can say for each commenters, here's if the commenter has commented on more than, here I want to give it just another variable. I would say number of posts. So say save them to high engagers and find their recent post using get linking. So we just use the previous tool, and then we just find their post and calculate the number of posts they have made in what days, and a number of posts back to high engagers. Okay, so what I try to do is I try to find each comment, and if they have more than number of posts, here I would just say more than 1, and save them to this new data called high engager, and find their recent post. For each of them, I would just, each commenter, I will find their post using get linking post and calculate the number of posts that I've made in the last 7 days. And I will just want to, whatever that has commented that we already kind of have then, in the previous data, I want to just add one more thing called, number of posts that I've made in the last 7 days. So that's what I mean by add number of posts back into high engagers. And let's see how it goes. Try to do it again. Okay, now we have the data again. That's so freaking fast, to be honest. Yeah, and then we can try to examine the code. Yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to do. Yeah, you try to get the commenters and find the commenters and see if the number of posts int is actually higher than what we are actually looking for, and save them back to the high engager. And let's see, that's the data. Yeah, I have Tony number. Oh, yes, actually, he doesn't make any. Oh, this one get 1. This one get 0. This one get 5. Okay, so this one actually kind of be interesting for us later on. Last one 4. 6. Can you meet them? Cool. Yeah, this data looks good to us. And the next step we want to do is actually we'll be able to chain through this step and just create an API that actually will be able to generate this as our final output. All you need to do is just hit deploy. And once say, oh, the flow deployed successfully, then you can have the deployment UID. And once it's deployed, you can just go to the deployment page, which is this box, and you can see that our deployment is here. Now you can see your deploy flow name, just the ID of your deployment ID for you to reference on. And here the required input variable first will be the linking, which is we put in Jordan Crawford. The second, it would be the number of posts, which is actually could be a configurable threshold. Originally we set it as 1, but you can set it to other numbers. And then the output actually would just be the final output would be the just high engagers. And then you can see the final code actually being coded to actually create this type of tool. So you can even try to download this code and do it yourself. And the most important thing is actually once you created this flow, we created and deployed them, we created API for you. You can come here and generate a key directly or go to the setting page to claim your key. Here's the URL. Actually, you'll be able to call this API. And here's the request body that you should be putting to any kind of, if you have used any kind of API, you know, this would be the variable that you can actually change here. That would be the number of posts. Oh, actually, I should have put in number, but I guess the code actually take care of that. This should be a number type, not the string type. I made a mistake here. But yeah, I think code take care of that. And then the linking, which is just the linking profile. And here we also provide a very, very simple call that you can just copy and paste this in your terminal if you want to call it from terminal. But later on, we will show you how you actually can, once you created this flow, you can just use anywhere. Yeah, so now, like after we have this API, the next step is, okay, where do we want to import this data into? And because we are just creating an API, so any kind of service that allow you to import any kind of API data will be compatible to this. So it's very easy for the integration. And because I'm personally a big fan of Notion, here I would just use Notion as an example to show how we can import this bespoke linking data into Notion. So the way that you can do it is you can go to Node API Connector, which is a kind of the third-party service like plugin of Notion to allow you easily import data through API into your Notion notebook. And what you need to do is just connect the API and create request. And once you kind of come into create request, it's already kind of logged in, so you can see. And then because we have made, you can just create whatever page you want. And here, I think we're just using this one, the linking engagement tracker, which is the page ID. And you can just put in any kind of name you want, linking prospect tracker as the name. And then you can just go to your data gen, take a look. So first important thing, this is a post method. For those who you're not familiar with API, it's basically telling what kind of action that you want the API do. So this actually corresponding to this one. And here you just put in your URL. You can just copy that and then paste that. And you can see there's many different things. The only two things for us is first the header. It's basically you put your Cross API key here, put it here, and then of course I wouldn't show it, but you just basically come into here, generate API key, and you'll be able to put your API key here, which I won't do it. And then the other one is body parameter, which basically telling what kind of configuration or like a parameter you want to fit into this API. And then because we were using two variable, one is number of posts, the other one the linking URL. So that will be just one of them. So I'll just like copy this one, which is the JSON format. Put it here. And then here I will just say one. Just use the same Julian Crawford. Try to see how the data look like. And then after that, you just hit run. So previously I forgot to update the my API key, and I just need to get my API key. Now it's running. Okay, now you get the data back. You can just take a look. The success is true, means it's successful. Status completed. And remember that we defined as high engagers. So now we have this. And then the good thing, the pretty useful thing for this Notion API connector is you can actually easily map them. So you can actually just say the high engager is actually your, so now you can see you have the first name, last name, linking URL, number of posts last 7 days. And then you can just say save and import. And then now we will just go back to our Notion. And then now see, you have your linking engagement tracker showing up with the data, the first name, last name, linking URL, number of the posts that are being commented on, number of posts that actually made last 7 days, and I can directly become kind of our command center to understand, okay, who should we start to connect to? And yeah, so hopefully that will be a kind of useful end-to-end case for you guys, and I'd love to learn more from you.